Hello, LinkedIn family. How's everybody doing today? We are here for another segment, the November edition of LinkedIn Leaders. My name is Robin Wilson Tucker, Wilson Consulting LLC, and I have the honor of introducing and engaging you guys this evening or this afternoon, rather, depending on where you're watching from, with this great segment. You are in for an absolute treat today. And we have a very special guest that we're going to introduce you to. But before we do that, we're going to do our own individual introduction so that you can get to know each one of us a little bit better and why we're doing this segment. So I'm Robin Tucker again, Wilson Consulting LLC. My business focuses on process improvement and professional development in the area of LinkedIn, coaching and training, all things LinkedIn, resume review and interview prep, and process improvement work using my 20 plus years of industrial engineering experience to help companies and small businesses find those waste and efficiencies that they need to overcome to help them be better. So we improve process to improve profit. And I'm going to let my co-host, my illustrious co-host, introduce herself as well.
Well, hello everyone. I am Lydia Rosenkrantz. I am the founder and executive coach at Mantle Coaching LLC. On the coaching side of the business, I primarily work with high achieving Christian women who are ready to move from performance based approval to identity rooted confidence. And on the other side of my business, I work with female solopreneurs. I have a community for female solopreneurs. We're about 80 women strong across North America now. Women who understand that while they have their own business and they love the independence of that sometimes you need a community. And so I've created a community that allows women to build out their businesses. Thanks, Robin.
All right. And last but certainly not least, our special guest today, Miss Jen Asplund.
Hey,
Go ahead, Jen.
I'm Jen Asplund. Oh, it booped. I am the founder and CEO of Asplund Leadership Consulting, and I would say my work sits at the intersection of strategy and leadership. How you drive big, impactful change, either where you're at or change that you want to see in the world. I do a mix of executive coaching with leaders who are people centric and impact driven and want to see positive change in their organizations, their teams, their companies, their communities. And the balance of my work is with companies who are trying to do the same. And so really making sure that we're supporting the leaders that are leading the change efforts, but also working through the things that cause change and transformation to not go always as planned. And so that's the space that I operate in. And I'm really excited to be with you today.
Well, we're thrilled that you're here, Jen. I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Robin. When you're done with your, when that coughing comes, right? It is like it's it. So I believe that Jen is our first guest from outside of Memphis. So we are really excited that LinkedIn Leaders it's certainly been national and international since we started, but we have definitely expanded into a much broader territory by bringing you on, Jen. So you have the honor of being our first non-Memphis person who has been on LinkedIn Leaders. So we're so excited that we're breaking that bubble today and moving outside of Tennessee.
Love it. Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. And forgive me for my coughing spell just a moment. But Jen, let's get into our question. Excuse me. Lady, can you get the first question, Lydia?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second, y'all. We roll with the punches around here. Jen, how has LinkedIn played a role in helping you grow and position your business as a thought leader in your industry?
So I use LinkedIn quite a bit. Most of it is posting about what I think good leadership looks like. I think that You can have the best strategies in the world, but if you can't get people to follow you in the execution of them, then all you have is a very expensive PowerPoint. And so I think my content has primarily been around what I think good leadership looks like and what I found to be true about leaders in getting people to follow them, and for those leaders to not burn out in the process of whatever it is that they are trying to lead. And so I primarily use it to post thoughts and comments about leadership and to add value to the people in my community, or to challenge their thinking, or to get them to think about something different. And then on occasion, if I'm launching something new, I'll post some sort of like invitation to join those things. But more often than not, it is just posting to build better leaders, because I think when a leader gets better, everyone wins.
I love that, and agree. And I know that you are an absolute living example of that, Jen. So the one of the words that you said there that I found to be very interesting was challenge. And I don't know that I've heard another guest or even other people who use LinkedIn talk about actually challenging others with their posts. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I think my experience in corporate was I did not always like follow the rules of corporate or the way that you are supposed to behave. And I think that it's important as leaders that we are authentic to who we are, and pursue things with purpose, I would say. And so I think it's, I'll give you an example. Like, it's really easy in corporate to chase a title and a promotion. And I'm guilty. Like, I've done it. I did it for a lot of my career. And what I found was it satisfied me for about 18 hours. And then I just went back to doing the work. And so you chase these things so hard to only find out that they don't really end up yielding what you had hoped they would in terms of satisfaction or happiness. And so, like, an example of a challenge would be you have to find a new way to define success. Like, success can't be the title or climbing the ladder. Success has to be rooted in something beyond that, some change you're trying to make or positive impact you're trying to have on other people. And there's just more like, there's more satisfaction and joy in that versus climbing.
What has been the response to that, Jen, on as far as LinkedIn engagement, and then maybe actually creating clients out of that?
I would say engagement is typically pretty strong, because I think it's something like, that's a human truth, something that we all feel, right? The need for purpose and satisfaction. So I ran a group coaching program this summer that I called Purpose Driven Leadership, that was rooted in that. Like, your value is not in what you do, it's in who you are, and figuring out what your unique gifts are, and then thinking about how you can use those to drive positive change in the world. And that particular one, about half my cohort came from LinkedIn, and not necessarily people I knew before, but maybe people who knew people, or people had reposted it to their network. And so I ended up with new people that I didn't have previously. And so I think it feels like there was something under there where we're ultimately like searching for purpose. And so I think people engage with things that they feel, even if they're not things that they necessarily say out loud.
Robin, you doing okay?
Yes, I apologize. You know
Not
how
need
sometimes
to
you get
apologize.
something in your throat and it just tickles. I had a tickle and I just could not. But I'm good now. I've got water. I'm good. So thank you.
Okay.
Apologies to our audience. So Jen, let me ask this to piggyback off of your leadership, and you mentioned that a lot of your cohort members came off LinkedIn. So, or came from LinkedIn. So were these people that had you responded to in posts? These are people that obviously you had connections with, maybe some not. Can you talk a little bit about organically how you use the platform to help build that cohort as far as through the relationships and connections that you made?
Yeah, so I primarily I just post content that I hope is helpful for someone.
Mhm.
And then if I have an offer, so like I launched Purpose Driven Leaders on that platform. And so when I have an offer, I will throw the offer out on the table. However, all of the people had some prior connection to me. We had worked at the
Mm,
same company. We knew people that were similar. We had some like mutual connection. I wasn't like a random head floating out there. Like they were somehow in my network, and either they found someone who knew me and liked my content or reposted it and engaged with it that way. But I would say most of my community and most of the people I engage with are either people who are first degree connections from at some point when I led in corporate, or they're second degree connections. They know someone who I knew from that time. And so I would say I use it to post and offer things that I'm doing, but most of the response is either people who are already in my community or people who are on like 1 degree connection away from my community that find me. I don't think I'm getting many like random people who have no connection to me. Does that make sense?
yes, and that is very key. So, one of the reasons why that we started LinkedIn Leaders, we started back in March. I can't believe we are already 6 months down the road in doing this,
I
is we
know.
wanted to really highlight um, leaders, business leaders, those who are not just successful, in their own right, but successful on the platform. This platform is powerful, as you know, and we wanted to really highlight those that were using it and how they use it to help other business leaders, right? And so you make a very good point in how you've leveraged connections, whether they be first, second, or second level connections, in order to build things for your business is very key. I can't stress enough to people who are on the platform about the power of connection and how you posting something or you seeing something, or even if you repost something, how that is very powerful. So thank you for that, because you have proven that you can successfully not only engage but build things in your business services where you have used LinkedIn as a major tool. So kudos to you for that. Kudos for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask this. Um, you already talked about posting content, but let's get more into, you mentioned something about posting content that really helps. So, as far as a specific strategy for the types of content, can you share a little bit about, is it something that you plan, you schedule, just kind of giving our viewers, those that maybe have some challenges in knowing what to post or what to say or even how to start. Can you share some insight on maybe some of the things that you do as far as some tips?
I would say in general, it is like a game of trial and error, and not every post is an engaging post. Um, I would say there are 3 types of posts that I make. One are just like pure insights, could be neuroscience insights, which is like a field I have come to love, could be leadership research insights, could be a cool article that I found, but some sort of insight. And I would say that type of post I think is helpful. It is also the type of post that people engage with the least. The second type of post are stories from clients in my coaching work, stories from my time in leadership in corporate America, but they are stories about leadership that highlight candidly like a lot of the same things that I post about in the first category. But I think when you add a personal story to the thing that you're talking about, it just changes the way that people engage with it. And then the third kind, which has nothing to do with my business or leadership, but is just like personal things that I post. Like I'll post about my dog Dash, who is like currently being an idiot in the other room and definitely has something he should not be chewing on. Or I'll post about my kids, or I'll post about a trip that we took, or a game that we went to, or something like that. And those get the most interaction
Mm-hmm.
on the platform when I share something like not just a story about work, but like, I don't know, like a personal thing about me or my family or my dog or like whatever. Um, and so those are helpful to draw people in, but they don't ultimately like communicate, I don't think, anything of like value that's going to change a way the leader thinks about leading tomorrow. But I do think maybe to some of your questions, it helps people to connect with me as a human and not like a talking voice, but like actually like a 3D human who lives a real life with real shenanigans that happen in our family every day.
So you brought up the three main things that I tell people about being on the LinkedIn platform as it relates to content and why people are on the platform. So you brought those up. So people are on LinkedIn for three reasons. They're on there for information, right? They're on there to learn something, right? They're on there for education, right? So information and education kind of go together. But what can I learn? How can you inform me, educate me, right? And then they're on there for inspiration. You talked about that, stories, those, one-off things about my dog or my child or, something, just a random thing that happens. And as you said, those stories, those randomness things, those what I've seen get the most attention, most likes, most comments on, not necessarily sometimes on education, depending on what it is. Information, if you're given a factoid or something, usually people will, maybe respond to it, may like it or whatever. But that interaction for that story that tugs at the heart, that tugs at the caring, those are the stories are the content that I've seen that really get the most, or just sharing how you feel, a thought, something that's relative, right? Because you said at the end of the day, we're all humans. We have families, we have things going on outside of our business or our work life. These are the things that really resonate with people, right? Maybe something that's funny, an anecdote, maybe it's a quote that really just hits you hard, in the heart.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I've seen. So I tell folks, when it comes to posting on LinkedIn or creating story or creating a post, it's not hard. If you think about things that you go through daily, of course, it's easy to, spit out a factoid or kind of a did you know, and those things have their place. I'm not taking anything away from that, right? Because there are times that we need to know, the top three things or the top five things, um, you know, about XYZ. But at the same time, I read a post this morning, right, really before this session. I read a post from a young lady who had gotten laid off last year, and she went through, some months of trying to figure out what to do next. And then she ended up working on a project for someone, kind of in a contract role that led into something greater. Well, she chronicled that in a post, and it was just outstanding because it's where so many people are right now, right? With everything going on with layoffs and, you know, everything that's happened within the past really 3 months. We're really, since February, March timeframe with companies in transition, people are really, are leading into those types of stories, right? Real life things happening. And so I think it's important that if you are stuck in how to get started on LinkedIn or what to post, what to say, share your story.
Yeah.
Who can tell it better than you? Help who can build your brand better than you, and just share it. And you just never know why just sharing your story will resonate with someone. So thank you for that. That's really key, very key. All right, Lydia, you want to go us into the next lead us into the next question?
Absolutely. Gotta find it real quick. Sorry, y'all. Okay. So, last question, Jen. What advice would you give to business owners or professionals who are hesitant to fully leverage LinkedIn for growth?
Hmm. It's interesting. So early on, I caught up with a friend in Dallas, and her
Mm.
feedback was, I am like loving your LinkedIn content. And it must be so hard because the things that you put out there are vulnerable. Like they're your thoughts on leadership, and you just put them out there. And I hadn't ever like thought about it like that before. I think it's more being a leader is hard, like at any level, because human beings are messy and complicated and imperfect. And so I think it was less like putting a stake in the ground about a viewpoint and more just an opportunity to share the things that I know to be true. And I think, Robin, you touched on this a couple of minutes ago. Like, we all have stories, we all have experiences. And I think a lot of times we have those things so that other people can learn from those things so that they don't do the same thing that we did, or they can benefit from our success and try that in their own way. And so I think there are a lot of people hesitant maybe to put their viewpoints out on LinkedIn. And I think there's a whole bunch of reason behind that. Like, I don't have anything original to say, or no one's going to care what I say, or no one needs to know. And I think the truth is they probably do. Like, I think all of us have wisdom and insight to share. And that doesn't mean that it's applicable 100% of the time or to 100% of the audience, but like someone is going to take a nugget of that. And I think it's an opportunity to encourage other leaders who, I don't know, Robin, maybe are people that have gotten laid off and need encouragement from someone who found a job about how to find a job. Or maybe they're trying to lead a big change or transformation initiative and they're stuck in the middle and they're exhausted and they just need some encouragement. And so I think that it's a way to pour into other people and build collective wisdom. And I think that matters because none of this is a solo journey. Like, we're all in it and connected somehow. And so I think the advice I would give is you have wisdom, and the wisdom is worth sharing. Like, it was maybe hard fought wisdom that other people could benefit from, or success that you found that others can then replicate. Um, and I'm like a big believer that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so I think that we owe it to each other to help all of us to do better in the things that we're doing.
Awesome. That, you know what? That you really summed it up beautifully. I think that you really have to look at just starting, right? And not being afraid. I've talked with so many people who have such a fear of sharing their voice
Hmm.
for whatever reason, right? And,
Yeah.
maybe they don't feel like what they have to say is valid. Maybe there's feel failure, right? Not saying the right thing. You just have to just trust yourself that you have something to share and that it is truly valid. So thank you for that. So Jen, we want to give you the opportunity to share about anything you have coming up, any offers you would like to maybe talk about, or if you have any webinars or whatever cohorts, just if you want to share. So, and then how people, of course, obviously can connect with you as well.
Yes.
So I would say there's two things coming up in my world. One is this Friday. So I have found that my people generally in life and in business are people who love people who want to have an impact in this world. And so if that is you, there is a community of us that meet Fridays at 11:30 Central for an hour. A little bit of large group reflection and discussion, and then some small group time to talk about a specific topic of the day. But I have found in my work that people who want to drive impact and results while still honoring the people who are a part of it are more and more rare in the marketplace. And so I think one of the greatest gifts that I've had in some of the group coaching work I've done is to bring those people together so that they know there are other leaders out there leading like that, putting people at the center and still driving amazing results for their organization. And so we do that monthly. And then in January, I will be launching a group coaching program for leaders who are like that. It'll be a 6-month commitment, and you're welcome to stay as long as you want. But I'll be posting more about those towards the end of the year and beginning January. But it's going to be another small cohort of just 10 to 12 leaders figuring out how we do this authentically in a way that honors humanity and still drives incredible performance for our organizations.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So, LinkedIn community, please connect with Jen. She is dynamic. Listen, go to her LinkedIn page and take a look at some of the things that she's posted. Just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So she is definitely someone that you want to connect with, that you want to follow. We can't say enough. And Jen, thank you so much for the opportunity to grace us with your presence. We honored to have you on the segment. We really are. Lydia, any final thoughts?
I just agree with everything that you said, Robin. Jen's one of those people that I actually like look forward to her posts coming out. There are not really all that many people that I actually actively wait for someone's post or search for a post. And Jen is one of those people that I do because there's just such I don't even know what the word is. There's an authenticity to how she posts. It's really, it's almost zen. It's just beautiful. The way that she writes it's very calming. It's very authoritative without being overbearing. Instead, it's authoritative with just that, those people who just naturally have authority without having to exert it over anybody. And so that's how Jen comes across in her posts. And I know her personally, so I know that is her. And I really look forward to seeing her post. So I hope that she's a real person, right? Like with a dog that barks, and I love it. I mean, we all have this messy life with dogs and kids and coughs, and
Yes.
and we're, when we can actually just be ourselves and just be, and I think that we contribute even more. And so that's who Jen is. So I hope you'll go definitely and follow her and connect with her. You'll get a lot from it.
Yes, please do. And again, Jen, thank you for being our guest. Next month, we will end our year with the wonderful and dynamic Loretta McNary. We are so excited about having her on the show for December. So be sure to catch us December. What is it, Lydia? I can't
It's a
remember.
little early because just like this one was, right? Because we're trying
Yes, it's
to
actually going to
avoid.
be on December 16th.
Yeah,
So
we're
join us
trying to.
on December.
We don't want to do it on the 23rd, right?
No, we don't. So, yeah, join us on December 16th, same time, same channel, LinkedIn Live, 11:30 with Loretta McNary. She will be our guest. And then guess what? January and New Year starts, and so we will have a complete and dynamic lineup. We're planning and getting that ready now for 2026. We want to bring you some, again, more dynamic leaders all over the country,
Yeah.
right? That are using LinkedIn for leveraging their business and also helping the clients that they serve. So, again, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Lydia. And we'll see you guys
Thank you,
next month
Robin.
on December 16th. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Um,
Bye.